Today on Unsolved, Florida, we have another unidentified person hit by a semi and nameless since 1982. Today, we are going to be covering a case from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. On August 3rd, 1982, a semi truck was traveling on Interstate 95 near the intersection of State Route 84, which is near the Fort Lauderdale Airport, and struck the young female at approximately 2:20 p.m. By the time emergency services got to the scene of the wreck, she had unfortunately passed away due to her injuries. So let's talk about what we do know in this case. Jane Doe was female, estimated age range 12 to 25, but they believe it's on the younger side of that, about 16 to 18. She was 5 foot 2 inches and 110 pounds. She had dark blonde hair that was shoulder length and described as large busted and slim. She also chewed her nails. Her personal effects included 3 cards and $30. The business cards were from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Forgive me if I say this wrong, but Canutillo, Texas, and West Monroe, Louisiana, which is famous for the Duck Dynasty family being from there. The police contacted the businesses or individuals on the cards, and 2 out of the 3 were no help. The third card was a Louisiana police officer who had spoken to Jane Doe several days to a week before she was killed. He recalled that he believed she was a runaway and either had a friend or sister in Las Vegas. He also said he remembered she had a thick Cajun accent. She was wearing dark blue jeans, dark blue blouse, brown sandals, and no jewelry. Police have stated they believe Jane Doe was a hitchhiker who may have used the first name of Donna while traveling. Thus, she has been named Donna Doe. Investigations after her passing revealed she had been seen on the Florida coast during the days before her passing. It is unclear where she came from or where she was planning on going. It's unclear because not a lot of information has been either released by the police or just known in general. For some reason, they think she has a friend or family member, perhaps a sister, in Las Vegas. And they're not exactly sure of the route she took, but I just put it together in maps to see what would make the most sense. She started out in Texas and then Oklahoma, Louisiana, and then she was found in Florida. But she did have a very thick Cajun accent, and if you don't know, that's usually Louisiana, Missouri. It's a very unique, perhaps Texas. So maybe if she wasn't from those areas, she was at least raised in them. So now let's chat about more of the unknown on this case. First, the police officer from Louisiana who had seen her on her way to Florida. It had only been a few days, and all he remembered was she might have been a runaway. I wish we knew more about this interaction with the police officer and Donna Doe. They talked long enough for her to have his business card. I'm assuming he did not check her identification. Perhaps that's the reason we don't know her real name, only call her Donna. But if a police officer suspected a 12 to 25-year-old, or like the coroner said, the lower, ages of that range, why would he not try to get some information from her? Was it a traffic stop? Was she with someone, perhaps in a truck? A lot of people believe she was hitchhiking through semis just because it was a really long trip in a short time. But if she looked like a minor and she was with a truck driver, you'd think he would try to get more information from her even if she didn't have an ID with her. The officer also mentioned a thick Louisiana accent, so I do think that would help narrow down where she's from. Aside from the officer and all the theories that could stem from that, police said she only had $30 and the business cards. Now, they called them business cards. One was the police officers, but we don't know if they were to other officers, if they were police departments, if they were like actual businesses. We have no idea. They've never been released to the public. To me, her not having an ID says she was under 18, and maybe she didn't have a license, although I suppose if you were in a lifestyle where you weren't going to be driving, buying cigarettes or alcohol, maybe you just didn't want one, or maybe she lost it. We'll probably never know. I'd like to think, however, if the police took DNA samples from Donna Doe, I couldn't find where it was listed they had fingerprints or DNA. I'm sure the coroner took fingerprints during the autopsy, but DNA testing was not available in the 1980s. Hopefully, she was buried, and perhaps in the future, a third-party DNA testing company could come help her give her name back. There is no crime essentially in this case that I could find. I couldn't find any police reports or news articles that talked about this accident, that talked about the driver being charged or arrested. But again, it was 1982. Maybe it wasn't digitalized. But I would like to know, was he ever arrested or charged with vehicular manslaughter, negligent homicide, anything? Here are all the different sketches that are done of her. A lot of people say they all look like different people. You can kind of tell her lips are the same in every single photo, so it was obviously a prominent feature. I do want to put a trigger warning here. They have released a picture of her deceased. It's not super graphic. It does look like she's sleeping. In the picture, I'm assuming just the resolution and quality of photo, it makes her look like she has black hair. I'm going to show it really quickly. So her hair looks a lot darker, but I'm going to trust when they said like a darker blonde, a very light brown, because they actually saw it and it wasn't in black and white. I think this is a very solvable case if DNA or isotopic testing can be done. Maybe Donna Doe can get her name back. If you're into checking missing persons cases against Jane Doe's, I'd recommend spending some time seeing what missing persons from 1982 in Louisiana, Missouri, or Texas for her age and description are listed. As always, if you have any information, even the smallest thing you don't think is relevant, please contact the Florida Highway Patrol at 561-357-4040. It is so sad her life was taken from her at such a young age, and she has spent the last several decades without a name. Hopefully, we can bring exposure to her case, to her face, and get her name back. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.